Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Meeple Melee by the Baron's Game Room.
This comes from designer Aaron Bilyeu, and it'll be coming to Kickstarter here in the near future, so make sure to check out that Kickstarter link down below after you watch this video. This is a tiny game, Big Battles Tiny 10 is what it says on the back of the box here. And as you can see, we have two different ones here. We've got the original version of the game, and we've got the Fire and Ice Standalone expansion. These are both going to be on the Kickstarter campaign. Inside of these tiny tins, you've got little tiny meeples with magnets that attach themselves to the tin box here. And you are going to be battling it out using your special powers, trying to take the other player's life points down to 0 and to be the last standing meeple. Let's take a look at it down below, and then we'll come back and share our thoughts on how it works with a gamer and non-gamer. All right, here's Mini Meeple Melee on the table and the Fire and Ice Standalone expansion as well. Before I go any further, I do want to make sure that you understand everything you see in this part of the video is prototype, so the final artwork, components, and even some of the rules may change after it is released from the Kickstarter. That being said, let me show you guys how this Battle Royale mini game is going to work. You can see some of the components here. This is what you will get in the regular game. So let me go over that real quick. You've got some tiny little meeples here that are going to come in the different player colors that you have. They are magnetized on the bottom, so they are not going to move anywhere except where you put them inside the tin can. And you've got some tokens, some crates, some teleportations, and a couple of dice. And so how this is going to work, you're going to play inside the tin can here. You can see that this is just a regular tin can. You're going to place it in the middle of the playing surface, and then you're going to choose from the 4 available double-sided player terrain cards to pick from. And you're just going to place one in the shorter top bin and one in the smaller lower bin. And you are ready to go. And so your players are going to pick which color they want to be. They're going to pick from the available characters that you have in this game. You've got the rogue here, who is going to have a couple of attacks, such as twin daggers and lethal strike. You've got the archer here, who's going to make some long-range attacks. You've got the alchemist, who is going to be able to do some chemistry and magic and that sort of thing, throwing things. You've got the halbearer, who is going to be able to stab and shove. You've got the wizard, and you've got the knight here. And you can see that each person also has their own abilities, such as the knight here is able to rush and shield. In addition to their attacks that they're going to be able to do, you can see that you've got some hit points here on the side, which you are going to keep track of using one of these clips to indicate how much health you have here. This would obviously slide onto the card as so. And you do have some player aids to remind you of what you're able to do, because on your turn, you're going to perform up to 2 actions. Your actions you can see here. You can move. You can use one of the things that were on your card, such as your skills. You can teleport if you're on one of the teleportation circles, or you can rest, and that costs both of your actions, but you get an extra action on your next turn. You also are going to be able to take cover and push and pull if you are next to the wall here, or if you're next to one of these crates. We'll cover all this here in just a second, and there are some abilities that you're able to do depending on those ability keywords that were on your character card. So after you have your character, you're going to set up the playing surface, putting out a crate on each side. We'll just say that that crate is there, and we'll put this crate here. And these are all magnetized as well. As you can see, there's a magnet on the bottom to keep it from being sliding all over the place. And we'll put our teleportation circles out here somewhere. We'll put one there. We'll put another one there. And we'll put that there. And I don't know, we'll say right there. Now, you can see that there are some different spaces on the terrain field. You've got some trees, which are going to provide some coverage against ranged attacks. Water spaces are going to be more difficult for you to move through, that sort of thing. And how this works, you're going to roll a die, and depending on whether you get odd or even, it's going to tell you which side of the playing tin can that you're going to play on. And so how you do this, you're going to put your meeple about 3 inches above the surface of the playing field, and you're just going to drop it, and wherever you end up going, that's where you start. And so I'm right there. And my opponent, let's say, would be right there on that tree. And there you go. You're ready to go, taking turns with your actions, going back and forth, trying to defeat the other player. This is a battle royale. Again, you can move, use your skills, teleport, rest. You get the idea. And everything is magnetized so it doesn't fall out of the tin can. That's pretty nice. It doesn't even move around. So it's very portable. You can play this in a lot of spaces, and it's not going to jostle around. So that's great. These tokens right here, sometimes you are going to be able to get +1s to your attacks. If, like I said earlier, if you are going to be next to a crate, you can move the crate with you to provide some coverage, and as long as you're behind the crate, then you cannot be the target of ranged attack. Same thing if you are next to the wall here. You cannot be attacked by anyone on this side of the wall shooting over the wall at you, but if you are over here, you might be because you're not being covered by the wall. It does require 2 movement points to jump over the wall. You can get on top of boxes and that sort of thing, teleportation circles, you get the idea. Now, how combat's going to work in this game is that you can either do melee attacks if you're right next to each other, or you can do ranged attacks if you are far away, and then when within range, your diagonal is going to be 1 step to the side, 1 step down, or over whichever direction. You can't just count 1 space straight across. You have to count spaces like zigzags. But anyhow, if you're within range or you're doing a melee attack, you're going to roll 1 die, and you're going to add any modifiers that you might have, +1 modifiers or minus modifiers, and your defender is going to roll a die, and they're going to add modifiers to their die result as well. Whoever has the higher result is going to win the combat. If it's the attacker, then the defender is going to lose an HP. If the defender wins, then the attack is a miss. If there's a tie, then you're going to re-roll. And so there are no ties in the combat. You keep rolling until somebody wins. And that's generally how this game is going to work. Let's look over here at the fire and ice. You can see you have 4 other colors of meeples you can play with. You do get dice. This is a standalone expansion, so you have everything here that you need to be able to play if you just had the fire and ice. But you can combine these two. In fact, you can put your other tin can next to the other one, and you can have 4 playing surfaces to play with if you want to. You do also get new playing surfaces that have fire spaces and ice spaces. As you can see, if you're on ice and you take damage, you're going to move 1 space in the direction where the damage came from, so you're like sliding on the ice. And if you're on fire at the end of your turn, you're going to take a point of damage because the space is on fire, of course. And these are double-sided here, and you can mix and match. You can play with both of these playing surfaces from both of the expansions. You do have new characters to choose from. You've got the Blood Mage here, who's going to do Drain and Blood Spike. You've got the Baron, and that's who's going to do some fisticuffs or hat toss. You've got the Savage. You've got the Elementist, excuse me. You've got the Bard, and you've got the Cleric, and I want to point both of these out because this is these 2 specific ones are going to be good when you are playing in teams, because you can play teams in this game, and these 2 specific characters are all about helping your teammates. As you can see here, Inspiring Melody. It allows you to give your allies a +1 attack token or a +1 defense token. That's what you've got right here. And the Cleric is going to heal your allies, so that's pretty nice. Not only can you play in teams, but you can also play 1 against all in this game, as there are going to be some bosses that you can go as. This is from the original game here, the Baron. You can play as the boss, the one who's playing against all of the other players on easy mode, and you'll play on this side of the card, or you can flip it over and play on the hard mode and give him or her these special characteristics. And the Fire and Ice expansion, you've got the Elementist here, who you can play on the easy side, and the skills for the Elementist are on the back of the card there to show you what you're able to do, or as was the case in the original, you can play on the hard side and have these skills for your boss players. So there you go. That's what you get inside of Mini Meeple Melee there, as well as the Fire and Ice expansion. Pretty cool. Again, this is all prototype, so make sure to check out the Kickstarter campaign for looks on what this game is going to look like and the final drafting on it. So there you have it. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on Mini Meeple Melee and the Fire and Ice standalone expansion. All right, we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Mini Meeple Melee from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. First off, that's a little hard to say. That's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
A lot of M's there. But Sam, first impressions, seeing this in the tiny tin here with the little tiny meeples and all the little parts, magnets inside of this one. What were your first impressions with this game?
I mean, it's our tiniest game, I think.
Yeah, it's very portable.
It's for as much for not just being a card game. We have some small card games, but this is an actual board game.
Yeah, for sure.
So I like that. I wish we would have had this on the airplane trip that we just did recently. It wasn't a trip to an airplane. It was a trip.
Well, check out our video, top right corner right now. Some games that you can play on a video. But yeah.
On an airplane.
Or yes, games you can play on an airplane.
But anyway, this is a great game. We're going camping in a few weeks.
Yep.
So it's just, as far as portability, this is a 10.
Yeah.
And the game itself,
it's a 10.
It's a bad video. This is a great game because it's not just, like I said, not just a card game, not just a dice game. It's a real game. It's a real board game. There's strategy, but it's easy and it's quick.
Yeah.
So I think it hits all you want for a travel game.
Absolutely. I think the great thing about this game, beyond its portability, the actual gameplay factor-wise is how different the characters are. And there are so many to pick from. And the characters' attributes match who they are. And you really have to take that into account as you're going into battle. For instance, I was the one who was very good at close combat, but I'm also able to be slippery and get away from ranged attacks. While Sam, you were playing as the archer. So I had a little bit of an advantage there of trying to stay close to her, and even when I wasn't, I could still kind of elude her arrows. I
mean, for such a small game, they could have left out those details. They could have just had 2 people, and you're allowed to take this many steps and roll dice, and you could easily make a game that way. But the fact that they put in those details, you get to choose what character you are out of many. There's many to choose from. Yeah. Each character has different abilities. I think that just adds another level to it.
Absolutely. And when you throw in the Fire and Ice expansion as well, you just kind of multiply that, and you get the ability to play in more than one tin box.
Yeah, you can do 4.
Yeah, you can connect them and make a bigger playing field. You can have more people in the game, which when it comes to battle royale games, that's what this is. The more people, the more excitement, the more chaos, the more you have to kind of watch out for what's happening, because you're going to go after this person and attack them, but then you're going to just get turned around and attacked by someone else. A lot of fun with this, a lot of chaos. There's a lot of customizing that you can do to not only the characters, but also the playing field is different every time you want to play it. So this has a lot of replayability. You can stick it in your pocket and play it anywhere. The magnets
will probably be carrying this around with them, so anybody can play a game with them.
The magnets with this is just fantastic because it just keeps everything right here. They're not, the playing pieces aren't going to go flying everywhere, so that's great too. So can't say enough about how great of a production this is with Mini Meeple Melee. Again, that's hard to say, but it's big on my list of games to take with you when you're traveling. So
yeah, for sure.
It is on Kickstarter, so make sure to check out that Kickstarter campaign link by visiting it down below in the description of this video.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.